Alrighty, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing out there? Thanks for joining me for Illustration Masterclass this Friday here at Adobe Live. Hope you're doing well out there. It's Friday, it's the weekend. Everybody, time to relax. Maybe have some time to do something creative this weekend. That'd be nice, right? I try and squeeze a little drawing in every day, as I do. Gang, I'm following the chat over on Behance. That means if you go to be.net/Adobe Live, that means you can ask me questions. You can make nice, helpful, sweet, loving comments. No negativity here in this room, folks. But if you're watching over on YouTube or Twitter, then I will not see the comments and questions you have. And that's fine. You can watch wherever you like. But if you want to ask me a question directly, please head on over to Behance. That's be.net/Adobe Live. And there you can see it on the screen. Okay? Hope everybody's doing great out there. Hello, Umacorn and Steven and Cryo and Clarissa and Wade and Mote Avoid and Jan. And Froha is here as well. Oh my gosh, all these people. I'm trying to scroll up through. I'm going to Stone. Nice to see you, Jack. How are you? Oh my gosh, lots of folks joining in here. All right, we're going to get to it. Today's topic is one that's interesting to me because a lot of artists I talk to, students and younger folks who are trying to get into the biz and all that, they are under the impression that if you use reference for your illustrations, you're somehow cheating, or it's like a sort of a crutch that you're using. And I'm here to dispel that myth and tell you that no, not at all. Of course, using reference is necessary if you want to draw things accurately. And one of the great things about copying directly from a source is that you then can, over time, internalize some of those details and then regurgitate them in your work when you're drawing from imagination. It's great to be able to do that. So let's head on over to Photoshop here, and you'll see on my screen some fun stuff that I have right here. What do we see? We see some adorable hamsters, and we see a motorcycle, and a motorcycle helmet, and a motorcycle jacket. My idea here was to draw a hamster on a motorcycle. Now, normally if I were doing this just winging it, first of all, motorcycles, give me a break. I don't draw a lot of vehicles, and anybody who's watched my master classes in the past know that I'm not a big fan of drawing vehicles and buildings and other things like that. But hey, sometimes you got to do it. And so I've got this nice piece of reference. It's pretty much exactly the angle that I want to use. And then hamsters. Hamsters are very similar to mice with the way their faces look and all that. So I'm trying to just really hone in on what is it about a hamster that makes a hamster look like a hamster. And that's my goal there. Now the motorcycle jacket's got a really distinctive kind of a look to it. Those zippers where they're located, the shape of the collar, the padding on the shoulders there and on the arms. All of this is the kind of thing that I might in my brain think, I think I've seen a motorcycle jacket before and I kind of know what that looks like. But the most important thing is for me to get it right. And then for the helmet, I chose this very specific kind of motorcycle helmet, which, you know, it's down to these little nitty-gritty details, folks. Look at how we come around and there's a little bump in the front right there, okay? And then you can see these little notches, or whatever you want to call them. I know there's a name for that, rivet, or I don't know what, where the straps are attached to the helmet. You know, getting these kinds of things accurate and specific is not something that I can do from my imagination if I don't have the photos there. You know, I need them. I need the photos there. I need to be able to draw from reference. Reference is your best friend. And, you know, we live in a time when you can find photos of anything you want instantly on Google. And what an amazing thing that is. So we should take advantage. We should take advantage of this, right, gang? So let's get to it. All right, I'm going to be sketching here. First things first, I just want to kind of figure out what the deal is here with hamsters. What is the deal? What is the deal? We got to get these shapes right, okay? So let's do that. I'm drawing with a little marker here. This marker I'm using is just a portrait marker, I call it. And you can get a whole bunch of markers that act exactly like it in the marker brush set. Those of you who are subscribing to Photoshop or Fresco, remember you can grab all of the roughly 2,000 brushes that are available to you. If you're in Photoshop, head on over to this little drop-down menu and get more brushes. That takes you to the treasure trove of all the brushes there, and select what you want. So just looking at the shape of this hamster, you know, the head here, I just want to get that right. And it's kind of, you know, this is kind of what we're dealing with, this kind of a shape like this. So it's a little wider, maybe a little wider than a mouse's head. Maybe the ears aren't quite as big here. Okay, kind of doing this sort of shape, maybe a little shorter, a little wider there. something like that. More narrow up here at the top. I'm looking at this little area right here. So we kind of come down and then out like this. All right, that's starting to get somewhere. I'm gonna just keep playing with this until I feel like I'm starting to get it right. All right, and I can take away bits here with my eraser. I just feel like I'm sort of understanding that shape. And this is just an exercise I'm going through here to try and really understand hamster heads. Okay, a little bit above the halfway mark. I see we've got those big hamster eyes right there. Okay, knock those in. And then we come pretty low down for the nose there. Beep, beep, beep. There's that little cute hamster nose. Alrighty. Like so. And got that little split right there. And there's the mouth. And I think, you know, that's starting to have a kind of a nice hamstery kind of feel to it in terms of just the arrangement of the features and the placement of the these ears. Okay, feels pretty decent. So I think if I were to draw something that looks like that, people would say, yeah, I think that's a hamster. Probably more likely to say that's a hamster than maybe a mouse. That would be my hope anyway, with this kind of a drawing right here. All right, now of course they've got lots of little whiskers all over the place there. Cute little whiskers, right? Beep, 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 beep. Throw all those whiskers in there. All right, there's my little hamster sketch. And that's just to get me warmed up, try to understand proportions and basic shapes and whatnot. And if you watched my class last week, you'll remember that what we talked about was drawing, cartoonifying animals from reference, so tied into what we're doing this week here, using reference for our drawings. Okay. Bonjour Kyle, Daniel is here, or Daniel. Merci d'être ici, et j'espère que tout va bien avec vous. I'm not a big fan of those tiny critters, says Umacorn, but those tiny eyes, nose, and mouth are cute, though. Oh, come on, Umacorn. Who doesn't like hamsters? My goodness. Well, you know, to each their own, right? Not everybody likes everything, and that's fine. That's the world we live in, and that's okay. So, there's a little drawing of a hamster head. Now I'm kind of getting myself warmed up. Now I'm looking at this motorcycle. I'm going to figure this out. So we got really a big kind of a chunky bit in one section here, okay? And then we've got like a smaller bit up here that kind of just carries around for that seat. And then we've got the space here for one wheel here. And then in the front of this chunky bit here, we've got that other wheel kind of hanging out. Whoops, that's way too small. Let's try that again. Something like that. All right, there's that other wheel right there. And then you got these spokes that come on up in this direction. Got a little headlight about there. And then out we go for the handles on that side, and then out over on that side. All right, so those are the basic kind of proportions I'm looking at there. Kind of correct that a little bit, get that to feel a little more accurate. There we go. Like so. Don't forget to use sound effects when you draw, gang. Alrighty. So this is me just warming up, trying to feel my way through it. Got some details here. Got these big, I think they're called exhaust thingies. I don't know. Come on, folks. Anybody out there like know motorcycles and cars and all that nonsense? I sure don't. I do not know what all these things are called. Not a gearhead, so to speak. I just you know, whatever the term is. I don't know this stuff, folks. All right, it's all just Greek to me. Whatever. Bum, 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 bum. All right, so these are some big chunky bits here. All right, we can figure all that out later, but just general proportions, trying to figure all that out. So now if I were to take this, you know, this angle, I could sort of then fake my way through something like a profile and say, yeah, I've kind of got an idea now of how things are with a motorcycle, right? Knowing now that this is this chunky bit here, and then there's a bit back here with the seat. Bump, bump. And we go up and over like that. And there's that other tire. Make these a little smaller. There we go. And that wraps around the back. And we have those exhaust pipe thingies coming in right there. And that's kind of the proportions we're dealing with. So I just learned something there. I learned a little bit about kind of, general motorcycle proportions just by doing this one little quick exercise here. All right? So, feeling pretty good. Now we get to our composition. All right, so my idea is I want to have the hamster I want to have him looking at us. All right, so remember that shape I was just kind of figuring out? A little lower down here. Wider down a little bit below halfway. And then more narrow up here. And we go slightly above our halfway mark to place those eyes. Okay, right about there. And we get that nose down about here. And the ears come off to the side. Now, the ears, I'm thinking, because of the helmet, I might have the helmet cover the ears. It's a tough call. Let's see if we can make it work without covering. So I have the helmet like this. And then we see part of the straps there. And then at the bottom, maybe they're connecting like that. Maybe we need to have the ears kind of like popping out the sides like that. One kind of up. That could be our sort of our helmet there. All right, so I've got that, and then I wanted to have him looking towards us and then have the body turning a little bit in this direction. And that's why I've got this reference right here, where I can see that sort of 3/4 view, okay, and get a little picture of that. See how long those arms are. They're really tiny, aren't they? Tiny little arms. So we just have a little hand there, and then we immediately get to like this kind of thing for the body. And we're going to put a little motorcycle jacket on that, okay? So that's going to have, I like having this reference here because I can see there's I can put some stripes and some padding up here on the jacket, a little seam down the side there, put a little zipper right there. And then we'll have that other arm kind of out about here maybe, something like that. Okay, let me get that cute little round hamster body, right? Have the jacket coming down this way, maybe put another zipper down there, right? And then the legs are, look at how tiny, teeny tiny little legs. Let's have little legs with the feet coming down that way. And then we have this part of the motorcycle here. This is about where I need to have, so the handle's going to come out about here. And then out and down we go. There's that sort of a headlight detail there. And we come down, and we come down the other side. I think actually as I line this up, I got to line this up a little better. So this is going to be the other handle here, right about there. So the other hand's going to attach about there. I can push that body forward a little bit, like this. And come through the back there, just push that back like this. Okay. Now folks, without reference, could I do any of this? Could I? No. I would be struggling to try and get any of these shapes to look like what they should look like. I mean, it would just be a nightmare. Fortunately, I do have reference. Fortunately, I could take advantage of the old interweb and get things to look pretty okay. Now, here's the thing. Once you've got some reference, you can start to change things around a little bit. You can make things suit your personal composition, whatever it is you're doing. And that's what I'm going to do. So, for example, this body of the motorcycle, I think, what do you call it, a chassis or something? I can vary some of the shapes here and do some little modifications. I can make this more sort of bubbly if I want. Okay, I can take a lot of these little bits and pieces and I can change them to suit my design, if you will. Alrighty. So I have the general idea of what I want here, but I can go ahead and I can modify that all the way through. When I get to the final line art and stuff, I can make some of those decisions where something I want to look a little different, I can go ahead and make it different. And that's the beauty of illustration. You do not have to follow exactly what you're seeing there, okay? So maybe I just want to have one of these like big exhaust things. I don't want to do the double one, so maybe I'll just do that. Make that a little bigger. Pull this around. Maybe I want to have like a little bar like back here, you know? Nothing stopping me from adding little details like that. Totally fine to do these kinds of things. Don't worry about it. Maybe I want to turn the wheel a little bit. Maybe have one arm like here and the other arm back here, and have this be like more of a profile, and have that front wheel turn more away from us, right? These are the kinds of things you can do. To avoid just jumping right in and mess around, but the result would probably be much more accurate with reference. Yeah, reference is linked before I even think of pulling up reference. Yeah, I do that too. Everyone does it. But it's great to get that reference up there and start using it. Any advice about moving from tracing to referencing? Well, Mick, it's okay to trace too. The reason I think referencing, drawing from reference without tracing is beneficial is it's really training your eye to see shapes accurately. And that's such a useful skill in drawing, of course. So I'm a fan of, like, as soon as you can get to trying to copy from reference rather than trace so much. Now, of course, I'll trace and stuff if there's a deadline and I got to get something done and I got to get an idea down in a hurry. Totally fine, to trace and just get that composition down or whatever. No worries. But, if you can sooner than later move to just the practice of drawing from observation, trying to get those shapes right, this is going to train your hand a lot faster to be able to do that. Okay, so can't go wrong with that. Yeah, so I'm going to turn this. Wheel. It's going to be more of like a circle right here. Okay, while this one's more of a profile. This might be slight 3/4, but barely. Okay. All right, there we go. Got a bunch of things happening here. As does this one. Okay. We need to make sure we pop that out, and it definitely isn't touching that tire there. Okay, now here's our little guy, little hamster. There's our headlight. Change that so it's more of a profile. We understand what's going on there. And then we've got to make sure that other handlebar is coming out back there. where it should. Get that other hand on that. And this will be where the other little hand winds up going. Make sure these shapes are correct. There we go. Okay. So how are we feeling about this sketch? So far, I think we're in good shape. And I've made use of all of the reference that I have. I've got the hamster reference. I've got the motorcycle jacket, the helmet, the motorcycle, of course. And now I'm just going to get more careful about making sure that these shapes look okay. So we've got the little nose right there. And this is just a difference in color here more than anything else. So I want to make sure that doesn't read as like 3D shape when I get around to it. Actually, let's go ahead and make those just a little bit bigger, and round that head out a little bit. And let's take that nose and just add that shape accurately there. Okay, and here's that center line again. I just want to be careful I don't make it look like a bear, because if I'm not careful, that could happen with this drawing. And one thing I could do maybe to be cautious with that is just bring that nose up a little bit right here. A bit more hamstery, I think, like that. All right, we'll have a bunch of whiskers and all that nonsense, and that'll help as well. Okay. There. Now, next step. So this is a really rough sketch, but you know, again, with these illustration masterclasses, since I have so little time to hang out with you all and try and make something decent, I'm going to skip the steps that I would normally take. Normally I would try and refine this a little bit and make sure that, you know, everything was making sense. But in the interest of time, I'm probably going to go ahead now and just jump into doing some line work, okay? So I'm going to knock this back like so and add a layer. And I'm going to jump over to the Spring 2022 brushes where we have some inking tools that I added, the Suave Inky and the Suave Snap. So let's take a look at the quality of the line we get with these. These should be pretty good right here. Nice and clean. I like it. And we're going to go for it. Now I want to be able to get a really fat line when I need it, and then get some thin lines in there as well. Wow, that would be something to see a hamster with a thicker neck than a bear, says Wade. Hey Laura, that's really kind of you, thanks. Alrighty. Any advice? Yeah, okay. Let's see. We answered that one. Frank is here. Hey, Frank. Nice to see you. Salut. You haven't yet tried these brushes. Oh, Annika, you mean this specific brush or the brushes from the Spring 2022 brush update? They're fun. I'm going to bump the smoothing up to 20%. This is going to make it so I can draw much smoother lines, especially while I'm under the gun here, trying to make this work. Grab my little hamster here. And let's slide him over here, just so I have a good look at him. And then we can do some drawing. Okay. Hamsters have really interesting noses, don't they? The way they're kind of shaped like this. Pretty interesting. Get that reflection on those big dark eyes right there. Just make sure that all looks correct. Pretty good. Remember, you can use any brush as an eraser just by holding down the tilde key if you have a North American keyboard. And if you don't, you can always use a brush as an eraser by changing its brush mode to clear, which you can do right up here. Okay? And we are in a digital environment, so I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of that right here and just make sure those eyes look pretty nice. Not bad. All right, let's get that helmet down a little lower, right about here. Let's get that a little thicker, like that. And then let that ear just kind of pop out from under there. Like that. Let this one come up a little higher. And I believe hamsters have some little whiskery type of things up here, if I'm not mistaken. Well, maybe I shouldn't draw those yet. I'll wait till we get to a later stage where I feel like maybe it would benefit from a bit more detail like that. Let's just see how it goes. All right, now remember that motorcycle jacket's collar comes up like this. Actually, I'll go ahead and split that. There we go. Be a bit more interesting. And there's this nice sort of like padding along the top of the sleeve there. And then we have the cuff right here. Okay, and then let's put that little, oh, I liked that. I like how it had like a sort of a patch of some kind right there. That was a cool detail. And then we put the little sort of seam running along there. That looks pretty nice right there. And then we get that other shape down there for the back and bottom of the jacket. And we've got a little zipper pocket right there. We can show part of that. All right, let's hide our sketch for a minute. and see how we're doing. Yeah, it looks okay. I had my sketch and I noticed that this little area here needs to be better defined since that's overlapping the body. So you don't want that line to be too thin. Line weight's something you really got to pay attention to a lot when you're doing any kind of inking. You know, and I say inking even though we're working digitally, but it's the same process I would use with traditional media, where I would go over an area, maybe make it just a little fatter, you know, where necessary. Now these highlights don't make sense, so we got to redo those. So there it goes there and right there. Okay, that'll do for now. Bring our sketch back and let's see how we're doing. Faith, yes, I'm in Photoshop. Photoshop's great for drawing. It's a brilliant drawing and painting program. Not just photo editing and design, it is one of the best applications for drawing ever made. Certainly. And that's, a lot of it's due to, not to toot my own horn, but brushes in Photoshop are really fun to use, and they're really versatile, and you can do a lot of cool stuff with the brushes. So if you've not tried drawing in Photoshop before, please do. I want everybody to do that. Alright, this passes back here. And then we come on down here. No pants, because it's just cuter that way. There we go. Put a little shadow there to show some separation between the jacket and the body. Same here. Never hurts to add a little shadow under the head. Okay, add some separation there as well. Okay, now there's a pocket right here. And for this one, we can go ahead and throw a little zipper in there. Okay, so we know that that's zipped up. If you want to add a little zipper on that one, you could too. That'd be fun. Put a little seam running down that way. It's a nice thing to do. And we're almost done with the little hamster, and now let's get that helmet. Now this has to be really, whoops, this has to be really round, so watch this. Gonna grab my symmetry tool and go to vertical, move it over here, and say okay. I'll make a new layer so I don't have to do this and try and like correct it. Oops, let's try that again. Ah! Bump up that smoothing. I can really take my time and try and like round that out. There we go. Smoothing to the rescue. Symmetry to the rescue. Lots of things to the rescue. Merge those layers together. Command E. Select both layers. Command E, folks. That's the one you want. That'll do the trick right there. Add some sort of suggestions of some kind of like metallic shine or whatever you want to, you know, just suggest that there's something up there that's kind of shiny or whatever. It's really just a design exercise more than anything else. And oftentimes I'll redraw it like a billion times to try and get a shape that I think looks kind of interesting, kind of cool. I don't know what I'm doing when I do this stuff, by the way. It's just me playing around with shapes until they look kind of like, oh yeah, that kind of looks like maybe it's a bunch of reflections on a metal helmet, you know? You too can fake it till you make it. The Kyle Webster way. That's how you do it, folks. All right, there we go. Now, it's time for that bike. And I'm going to put the bike on its own layer since we're working digitally. Why not? Any questions? Let's see. Wade found a loophole. Loophole for what? Fresco for drawing, Photoshop for painting and finishing. Sure, but I draw and paint and finish in Fresco all the time. I don't even bother going to Photoshop. Sometimes I just draw and paint and finish in Photoshop. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Yeah, the hamster looks like, how did I get here, says Wade. That's funny. Oh, cryo. Yes, of course I use smoothing. Absolutely. For a thing like that, for trying to draw around like the top of the helmet at that size, no way. If I were drawing like this scale or something, I could try and get pretty accurate with a curve, you know, but I'm going to slow way down and really try and nail that if I'm at that scale, and I'm just going to have to use smoothing to do that for sure. No matter how great the technology is for the drawing tablets and stuff, I never am able to have quite as much control as when I use pen and paper. It's just the reality of it. For me, I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but that's just how it is for me. So I got to take advantage of things like smoothing and whatnot. Got to do it. It's making my life easier, so I'm going to take advantage for sure. Absolutely. All right, let's move on to that motorcycle. There we go. Now I'm going to keep this simple. I don't want this drawing to get like really, really complex, because I don't want you to be all focused on the ins and outs of the parts of the motorcycle and what goes where and how all that works. I have this wonderful piece of reference I can use to get everything to look right, and that's going to be a really amazing assist for me, if you will. But I'm definitely not going to be like, going nuts with trying to make it have a whole bunch of little tiny details in it and things like that. Okay? And again, like I said, once you've got your reference in place and you get the basic shapes and the basic idea, you can start inventing and making things a little different, however you wish. Speaking of which, I'm actually going to change the shape of this. Whoops. I'm going to do this. That's what I want to do right there. And then off of here, I'm gonna add this little piece here, and then we're gonna have the what are these called? Fenders, right? These are called fenders? Man, I'm so bad with, I don't know what stuff is called, gang. I've said this several times. I really do not know terminology for all this business. It's just not something I ever had an interest in when I was young. Like, I know a lot of boys when I was growing up, they were really into like sports cars and motorcycles and like F-15s and stuff like that. And I just could not care less. I take it back. I did think the Lamborghini Countach had a cool body type to it, like the 1985, whatever that year was, when that was kind of the car that you could buy a poster of it, put it in your room. Am I getting that year right? 85, something like that. Look how many times I undo. Not as many undos as when I used to draw on a regular tablet. Now that I'm working on a Cintiq and have done since 2014, I want to say. I think 2014 was the first time I bought one. Maybe 2013, something like that. But man, it used to be like, make a line, undo, make a line, undo, make a line, undo. That was sort of the process. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with that kind of way of working. All right, pausing here. Any questions? This hamster is rocking and rolling, looking awesome. Thanks, Bruce. Hey, thanks for joining us. How many mechanics know what a doozy inker is? Yeah, Wade, good point. There you go. We each have our areas, don't we? We each have our areas. Things we know. Oh, that reminds me. I want to give a little sort of TED talk soon when it's safe to do so. Reach back out to there was a talk I gave years ago. I think it was at Icon, the illustration conference, and I want to do a newer version of that and make that better and bring it up to date. But this idea of being an accidental expert at something is so interesting to me. It wasn't like I set out to be some kind of brush expert, and I just wound up becoming that because of an unusual obsession, really, with making brushes and just a curiosity and playing around with it. And I bet everybody out there is like that with something. There's a thing that you are more interested in, more excited about than the average person. And just over time and experimentation and just spending time with something, you become an accidental expert. It's not like you set out to do that, but you just do become an expert in a thing that you never meant to become an expert in. That whole idea really fascinates me, and I want to update that talk I gave a few years back, and I think that could be useful for people. Just a food for thought, food for thought. Okay. How are we looking here, folks? How are we looking? Not bad, not bad. All right, let's come over to our reference and just see what's going on here. We got, all kinds of gadgetry and wizardry going on with this motorcycle that I don't care to copy, but I suppose there's one thing I could do, which is there's this kind of springy looking thing. I guess it's like a shock absorber. Maybe I don't need that. Oh, what the heck. It might just be like a cool shape to add. Let's try it. So picky with these lines. They have to be decent. They can't be too garbagey. Oops. Oh, why would I do this to myself? Now I've made it so that I have to draw like perfect ellipses one after another. That was a dumb idea, Kyle. Maybe I don't want to do this shock absorption idea after all. Yeah, forget it. We'll just say no to that. Maybe if I had more time. These Masterclass episodes are, you know, I think, oh, I got an hour, plenty of time, and then I realize, no, it's not that much time. All right. Let's come over here. And let's get some of this business done. If I look at the motorcycle, it's actually got a bunch of stuff going on underneath that area, so I'm going to hollow that out and bring it back this way, and then leave more room for that. And then under here, I can sort of study it and see, okay, there's like some kind of thing that goes this way and another thing that goes the other way, and they connect to this other thing here. And I can just sort of fake it and show that there's something going on there. I don't even have to know exactly what it is and how it works, but I just want to show that there's some business under there. And if I add shadows here, okay, it's going to help to set that back, recess, okay? We want some recession there. And I can do things like this. I can add like little lines that show like maybe there's something there. Who knows what it is? Doesn't matter. You can sometimes look at the language, the visual language, the vocabulary of a thing that you're drawing, and then you can start like faking it by adding things like this. Like if I go whoop, whoops, try that again, like this, and add a little shadow underneath. It's like, hey, there's some kind of a thing there that's, you know, like a screw or a whatever, who knows, right? You can do that kind of stuff. You can just sort of fake it. And people will just accept that, yeah, that kind of feels like it's a thing that should be there. You know? You can do that all over the place. I can do this, make that look like it belongs there. You can fake it, but you can do it in a way that feels sort of logical. Whoops, let's try that again. Like a shape that just seems to make sense with regards to, you know, its placement, and you can even sort of suggest like a function for a thing. Like that looks like it turns, or that looks like it's connected via a screw or whatever else to this other thing, and all that business, you know? Probably just go ahead and make that whole thing. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's hide our sketch. There we go, looking good. Now again, folks, the subject today, the topic, reference. For me to get anywhere close to where I am right now in just, what, 45 minutes or whatever it is, without reference, what a struggle it would have been. I would have been inventing everything, and so much of it would have just been nonsense. You know, none of it probably would have made that much sense. I could get away with faking it for only so long with the motorcycle shapes and all that. But it just would not be even close to what I've got going on now, okay? The result here is just far and away going to be so superior. Because I'm using reference. this parallel line here, which is enough to show that there's a handle behind the other. And that connects, whoops, like this. There we go. And then we have these nice chunky bits. What are these called? It is not spokes. What are they called? Handlebars? No. Forks? I know with a regular bike it's called a fork, right? Oh, and it's got a little, so the headlight, the way it's attached, I see, is it's got a band right there. See, these are the kinds of things, if I don't have the reference, I can't do this kind of stuff accurately. And then there's, this here gets a little split right there. It's a little wider and then it comes down. Okay. And then the way this connects, I can just see, I can sort of fake it like that. I can make there be a shape there that makes the person go, yeah, I think I understand that. I understand that it connects, even if it's not accurate. Just the idea that there's something there connecting the handlebar, you know. But the headlight, it's cool that I can see what's going on there, how that's attached. And then it sits inside there like this. And I'll give it a tiny bit of a curve. Whoops, a little more than that. There we go. Just the tiniest of curves. Because we're not at a total, oops, profile here. There. There's a little separate part right there. Try that again. I think it'd be better if I do this. I'm going to make a line like that and then add more of those sort of fake highlighty kind of things up there. I think that's a bit cooler looking. Like that. I like that better. Actually, this would be a little farther away, like up here, wouldn't it? I was gonna get picky. All right, and then we come up here. Try and get my perspective a little more accurate there. There we go. And I guess there's some like chunky bit here where this all emanates from. So I just fill that in with a nice dark shape. And then here, I can do this. I can do these lines. And then I can just come in here and actually I think I'll do this. I'll take this little side here and go down like that. So much of this is just a design exercise, guys, where I'm just trying to like make the shapes kind of interesting. So it's not, you know, just a dark shape, but maybe I break it up in some kind of a cool way. In fact, I'll bring that all the way over here. And then if I wanted to, I could even do this. I could use the brush as an eraser and just kind of knock out some of that as negative space or whatever. So many options. Okay, now we come back up to the hamster layer here. There we go. And we go maybe add some little whiskers. Like that. And I'm gonna move this bike over here and get rid of this bit right here. That's it, gang. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining me. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Remember to be kind. And I'll say ciao for now. Bye.